It's a tragedy for students. Elite leadership failed. They're finally answering. Let's break it down.
A lot. First of all, apparently a janitor named Derek, who worked as a janitor at Brown University, had previously, that is before the shooting, according to him, alerted the Brown University police that there was an intruder that had been lurking around the building, but yet nothing was done. We also learned that there were a number of electronic devices discovered in the storage unit that he had, and a number of other things, perhaps thumb drives that he had, all of which point to the idea that this was some elaborate plot. He did a lot of casing, a lot of pre-planning, a lot of recon, but in retrospect, none of it seems to make sense. And I just hope that the authorities come out soon with some sort of a backgrounder so that we can all try to understand this thing.
As the investigators start digging, the details get even uglier. We're looking at pure, unadulterated negligence from the top down. Think about this. A janitor named Derek, a guy actually walking the halls every day, saw something. He flagged an unauthorized intruder way before things turned deadly. And what did the elite leadership do with that info? They met it with stone-cold silence. They sat on their hands while charging families nearly $90,000 a year in tuition. For that kind of money, you'd expect world-class security, right? Wrong. They didn't even have basic cameras in the most critical areas. How does a school with a multi-billion-dollar endowment fail at the most basic job of keeping people alive? This isn't some minor glitch. It's a total breakdown that cost families everything. Now let's look at who's actually behind this. As the layers get peeled back, the focus is squarely on Claudio Manuel Neves Valente. He's a Portuguese national who walked right into this country through the diversity visa lottery. Think about that. This is the same guy now linked to a wave of violence that hit multiple elite schools, including the tragic death of an MIT professor. When the feds raided his storage units, they didn't just find junk, they found a professional, calculated setup. It proves this wasn't a random act, it was a mission. This whole nightmare shines a blinding light on a visa program that's basically a sieve. The vetting is a joke, letting threats slide right past the gates while the bureaucrats look the other way. The administration is finally moving to shut these loopholes down. It's about time we put your safety ahead of a quota system that keeps failing us. The White House isn't playing games anymore. They just handed Brown an ultimatum that's got the whole Ivy League shaking in their boots. They're triggering a massive federal audit under the Clery Act, and they aren't being polite about it. We're talking about over $500 million in federal funding, your tax money, being snatched back if they don't shape up. President Trump is sending a message. The era of the federal handout without any strings attached is over. If a university can't protect its own students, why should it get a single cent from the taxpayers? They're even looking at capping the bloated salaries of the administrators who let these security lapses happen. It's a wake-up call for all of academia. Stop obsessing over your bank accounts and start protecting the kids in your care. That wall of indifference is finally hitting a wall of opposition. This tragedy has lit a fire under the entire country. Families like Ella Cook's are mourning an unthinkable loss, and they're demanding a total overhaul of the way these schools operate. The public mood is crystal clear. There is zero room for incompetence when lives are on the line. As Valente heads toward a courtroom, the conversation is moving way beyond just one guy. We're talking about the deep, necessary changes needed in our immigration and school systems. This is a turning point. We're finally seeing a world where the protection of American citizens is the priority, not an afterthought. People are tired of the excuses.
The nation is watching, and we're going to make sure this kind of failure never happens in our halls of learning ever again.
This report is complete, but the fight is just beginning. Subscribe now to stand with us.